Heyo! So great to see you, but I can't see you. Um, sorry. I don't know why I say that because I can't, but I see you in my brain. I really do. As I'm speaking, like I see you in your car listening to this, or I see you on a walk listening to this, or I see you sitting at your desk listening to this, just dreaming of bigger things and dreaming of what your destiny is, and knowing that even though you're far from that right this second, knowing that every day you're inching closer. Even on days where it feels like you're stepping backwards, you're still closer than you were the day before. And I do see you. I do. And I know what you're feeling, and I know how frustrating it is, and I know how hard it is to stand back up for your life because most people won't. But I want you to know that there is a destiny for you to fulfill. No matter where you are in life, there's something here for you. And if you keep coming back to this show, to this message, to this idea that there's a dream inside of you that's meant to be lived out, then I have no doubt in my mind that greatness is your destiny, that there is something you are here on this earth to do. So let's go do it. Right? Let's keep taking those steps forward. Let's keep trusting that the path is unfolding as it should be. And that's what we're talking about today. Let's go. Welcome to season 3. I would love to tell you that season 3 is full of so many twists and turns and craziness that's going to come in. And honestly, it could be. But this podcast is my own personal journal of escaping from what I deemed a life that wasn't really fit for me. And that started in season 1, rooted in the fact that my dream had died and I didn't know what my goals were in life anymore. And as we've walked through the valley of what that looks like and everything encompassing, we've been recording. And so I'm excited to be going into season 3. I don't know what's in store for us, but I can tell you that from season 1 to now, every day feels a little bit better and a lot more aligned. So I'm excited that you're here. If you're just finding this today in season 3, you can go back and find all the past episodes. I started at around the age of 30 recording this podcast every weekday, working through this really painful point in my life. And we're just starting into season 3, and I'm excited to see where we get. It's a whole lot of entrepreneur, creative vibes that are going out into this world. And the more that I get to experience that, the better that I feel. So gear up, load up, and let's all go out and change the world however that looks for us. But more than anything, let's forgive ourselves for our dream dying and start getting back to rebuilding after that. Hey, welcome to the show. The show must go on. Let's go ahead and ground ourselves in all of our ooey gooey greatness. Brought it back. Welcome. My great thing. I just thought of it. Where did it go, good brain? I think my great thing is just like sitting with the heaviness of what the front end of this week was, and letting myself realize that so many times, and this is what's been hardest to learn over time. So many times it isn't me. So many times it isn't my energy. So many times it just isn't as big as it feels in that moment. And this week, and when these things sneak up, right? And we just had one last week too. So, like, a lot of weird energy coming around. Usually it revolves around me having to step outside a comfort zone, that I'm sort of feeling stuck or comfortable. I wouldn't even say stuck. Usually it comes with comfort. And I'm like, oh, but that next step is going to get super uncomfortable. And I don't know if I want to push through that. And really, we're okay right here. Aren't we just okay with this just being our own podcast? And we have this nice little group of listeners, and they're so yummy and delicious. And I get to talk with some of them once in a while. And it's really wonderful. Don't we just want to stay right here? Isn't that feeling good? Don't we? Like, the less people that listen, the less people can hate it or love it, or either way, this less. Like, shouldn't we just stay right here? And yeah, we certainly could. And that definitely is always a choice. And that's a hard choice to continue making. The hardest choice you're going to make out of all of this is continuing to push past those moments. Because every time, and it gets easier every time, but every time you grow and you move and you push past something, it's uncomfortable. Running into walls is not a comfortable process. And so that energy returned at the beginning of this week. And unlike last week, where I was like, oh my gosh, is it your diet? We better start working on, alkaline and focusing on that, and looking at what we're putting into your body, which is no doubt an important focus. But more than that, the realization that it's a moment in time, that it is maybe a bad moment, right? Or a weird energy that doesn't seem to fit where we're at in life. But it doesn't have to derail you, right? And for me, that was what was important this week compared to last week, having a similar energy, was that I sort of had this realization that, hey, Han, you're going off the deep end and nothing's even that wrong. You're the one creating this. You're the one digging this hole deeper than it needs to be. This is a moment. This is a feeling, right? Sit with it. Give it what it needs. What is it asking for? Better food? Is it asking for a break? Is it asking for you to do something that you've been promising yourself you would do? What's it asking for? Listen. Listen. And, that's what I had to do. Just start listening. First off, is my body saying, hey, slow down, take a little break? Yup. So we rode bike. Ankle is already feeling better. Not going to go back to running. Smart enough to know that won't last long. But gosh, it's crazy to me how much I have grown in this area and how new everything always feels, and how many lessons repeat and repeat and repeat. And I think this is where I want all of us to focus. When those lessons are repeating, we aren't necessarily going to be winning. The win is the less time, right? So I feel amazing. What used to be, and I'm working on writing book number 1, and so I have to transport myself back into those manic moments that I used to have. And those used to last for weeks on end where I would spin and I would be in these low energies and I would just stay there and I would bury myself even further. And I didn't even know how to save myself, but eventually I'd come out of it. No rhyme or reason to how. No idea what made one of these moments last for 4 to 6 weeks, or what made it last 1 to 2, or what made it last, no, it was always weeks. No idea. But now they're lasting 1 day, 2 days, 3 max once we rein it back in. And so this is the biggest thing about self-growth. You're not going to bust through every wall seamlessly, right? You don't just get it down and then you go, oh, perfect. Never going to be depressed again. Never going to be anxious again. Hey, welcome. I've arrived. Glad to see you. That's not realistic, right? But like, count your wins in this way. Is it happening less? Is it happening less? Are the spans shorter? Okay? Because if we start to beat ourselves up because we're like, oh, I shouldn't be sad anymore. And that's literally like last week, I was just like, oh, you're so dumb. Why? Why can't we drop this? Like you're writing a book on this right now. Come on. We should be better. No. We should be getting better. But that doesn't mean that it's all over. That like we close the book on those things. They're still going to come up. So we can't look at winning and losing as that exact when we're talking about our mental health, right? The win looks like less. It doesn't look like gone. I think realistically, it's always going to be growing with you. It's never going to go away, but your ability to better handle that, your ability to shorten the span at which it disrupts you, your ability to sit comfortably with those feelings is what's important, right? So this week compared to last week was like, no, Hannah, we can't just be mad at ourselves for feeling this way. One, we're always looking for what triggered that potentially. And two, what is the deal? What's happening? What's going on? What's exhausting you? And most importantly, Hannah, it's okay that you feel this way. It's okay. Let's just feel it. Let's get that moment over with. Whereas last week, I feel like it lasted longer because it was like, you shouldn't feel this way. How dare you feel this way? Why are you feeling this way again? How annoying. I thought we got rid of this. It's never going to be gone. Let's go ahead, especially with mental health, and count our wins as just a little less. And it's not always going to be less depending on what's going on, but like less, right? Last week, was it 3 days? And this week, was it 2? And next week, is it 1 or 0? That's winning. Okay? Less over time, but probably never gone. And I don't want you to feel like you're losing because it's not gone yet. I don't think those things go away. Right? And I can tell you, oh, we need to be in the present moment. And it doesn't matter. Trust. Like I do a lot of work with stoicism and training on that and your mentality and how to feel feelings and all those things. But at the end of the day, those feelings are still going to come up. The win looks like less. Right? And maybe not even less as in like feeling that less as in how long it disrupts our lives. And if you're winning in that end, in that aspect, that it's not disrupting you for like months on end, weeks on end anymore, then you're winning all day long. Okay? And if something crazy comes in and derails you for months and months, that's okay. Right? as long as you have created a process of recovery, of reflection, of coming back from it, of understanding that this is a moment in time and that this maybe isn't something worth disrupting the entirety of our lives, but maybe it does deserve some space, right? My discomfort deserves space. And so I have to give that once in a while. Okay, we're uncomfy. And we're going to talk about that today, interestingly enough. So my great thing is just continuing to win as much as possible. It doesn't go away, but we're winning more. We're having less disruption overall. And I know that, and I know that it's never going to be perfect. And no matter how much we talk about presence and the importance of that, I think that's always such a powerful thing to come back to, because it helps rein it all back in. But that doesn't mean that you aren't going to still work into those patterns. It's human. We're human. Hi, I'm a human. I'm talking to you right now. It's so great to know you and to experience emotions with you, because that is what sets us apart, right? Okay. Go ahead and ground yourselves in all of your greatness. It's very important, vital, one might say. And I might be that one. And it may only be me. And that's okay. Okay. So today we're talking about your destiny. Oh, I know it's such a big topic, and I'm so excited to talk about it today, because this is what I want to tell you. You have one. And you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I do. No, you do. You know that, like, whisper that happens once in a while, and it's like, oh, you could do more. You can do more. Or it like pushes you down this path that you're like, that doesn't make sense. Why would I do that? But it's like just this whisper, like, you have to be more. You have to do more. This has to happen. I can't tell you why, but this is going to be important. Vital, in fact. And I've had that happen so often in my own life that I feel kind of silly right now thinking of how long it took me to listen to that. And usually, big destiny paths, I think, roll out like this, where there has to be this like term of acceptance. And you kind of make a deal with your destiny, a deal with the higher power, and you say, okay, I have accepted this path. And I can tell you what that moment was for me that sort of changed everything and set my trajectory to where we are now. Like, it was the first domino to fall. And it's funny because it came so long before all of this work kicked off that it like blows my mind. But I would say the underlying message that I heard from a higher power, from spirits, from source, from wherever, was like, this is the prereq, right? If you went to college, all those courses that you were like, these don't make sense. But then one day in, I don't know, your graphic design class, because that's what you ended up going for. And you were like, why do I need to take statistics for graphic design? Numbers and art don't mix. Well, then, like, 4 years into your focus study, you have a graphic design class where you have to like statistically talk about the angles and numbers and all those things. And this is likely not an actual situation, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh, numbers, art, That makes sense. Yeah, 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 yeah. Or you, like, take on this project where you have to do all of this research in order to know, like, that your art piece is in the right, I don't know, genre or culture piece or whatever, and so that history class maybe becomes super important. But, like, when you were going through it, it was like, "Why?" Why? Well, destiny really is no different in my personal experience. There are prereqs that you are going to go through. That's why, right? That's why I say, like, just set it and forget it, because you're gonna have to go through these prereqs that are sort of this agreement that this is the path that you are destined for, right? So my biggest, most annoying prereq was going on this debt-free journey with Dave Ramsey, and I'm like, and I remember at that time, I remember fighting with Jordan and us having, like, knockout, drag out fights, and me just being like, "Okay, I don't want to write the same story that my parents did, where, like, this was always an underlying stressor. I don't wanna write that. How can we do this?" So I grabbed the only book that was in our house at that point because we were so insanely broke that, um, I don't library cards are free, but I don't even know that we could have afforded that. And I grabbed that book and I'm like, "Well, I don't know what the path out is, but this is the one that we have at our hands right now. So let's do this." And then I remember making that agreement with whatever higher power. They came down and they said to me, maybe it was in a dream, maybe it was in, like, a vision or something, right? But, like, in the back of my head, I remember just being like, this is going to change everything. And you have to do this. You have something bigger that you have to accomplish. We can't keep wasting energy here. You have to fix this first. Bigness is coming, but this has to come first. And that agreement was like the first step on the path of where we are now. That agreement to that prereq was like, yup. And not everybody's agreement is going to start there. That's just where mine started. And that was the first handshake of the bigness guarantee for my life, of this ability to go chase my dreams, right? And I just remember agreeing for that reason and having that be the fuel behind all of it, because I didn't, since money isn't an intrinsic motivator for me. I know that seems crazy, but bear with me. Since that isn't a motivator for me, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I want to have all this money because I want to give someday, or I want to do that someday. Since that wasn't a motivator, I struggled to, um, like, translate the importance of this. And the only way that I did was knowing that I had agreed with this higher power that this was going to change everything for us, and that this would allow us to come into the bigness that was promised for our lives. And that didn't make any sense at all to me, because at that point it was like, I mean, we're both just kind of workers in factories in the mill of what, like, bigness. What are you talking about? But either way, I was like, okay, I agree. I'm good. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why we need to do this, right? I don't understand this prereq to our destiny, but I will agree with you. Okay? And it's amazing how many times there have been those little whispers of prereqs to this path that I just wanted to be like, no, that doesn't make sense. it's not likely going to make sense, especially if you are far off of your path. And at my point, I was so far lost that, like, this one made no sense at all, but now makes all the sense in the world. And we've talked about this before. You're going to connect those dots once you're far enough out, but right when you're on them, it doesn't make any sense. But it will when you're 5 away. And every step you take further from that, you'll go, oh my gosh, I don't know why I got that message to make that decision. I don't know, but now I do. Now it all makes sense. And so often, we're being handed prerequisites for what it looks like to go chase our dreams, but we're going, nope. I don't, hey, source, higher power, spirits, spirit guides. I don't, God, I don't know if you saw, right? Because I listened to this podcast and this lady told me that I need to write my dreams down. And if I wrote those down and then I just started working on one, that like it all play out. So you're telling me that I need to do this first, but this, like, that doesn't make sense with what I wrote down. And I'm trying to listen to you, but you don't really make any sense. And so, like, I'm going to go ahead and correct you, source, because I don't think you're getting it. No, my friend. I don't think you're getting it. Yes, you have to write these things down. And yes, you have to tell the universe where you want to go, but you don't get to decide how you get there. The universe is going to tell you. It's going to say, do this, my good friend. Here you go. And I can't stress that enough. I really can't. Because you're going to think at times like, oh, I have this figured out. Oh my gosh, I have the path. Listen, this is how it's supposed to go. And I can tell you, season 2 is full of those moments. This is where we're headed, and this is what we're doing. And I promise you that there are a lot of broken links out there that made promises for things that never panned out. Because just when you think you have it figured out, you probably don't. And what I've learned most over the last year is that it's always better to just sit back and let the universe guide you. It's so much more comfortable. And you're like, no, we have to hustle. We have to run as fast as we can. I am telling you, you're going to run by things that are meant for you, and nothing that is meant for you will run from you. Nothing that is meant for you will run from you, and everything that is meant for you will serve itself up on a platter. It is embarrassing how true that is. Because I am coming from the land of the hustling giants. Trust. Hustle was what I built myself on. Hustle was like, that's it. That's all this girl knows. It's hustling. And I am telling you, that pace will exhaust you, and you will end up passing on things that could have probably gotten you there faster than you could even run yourself. And so I today just want you to know that your destiny is whispering to you. It's not yelling. It's not blatantly like jumping out in front of you and going, hey, this is the path, this is the path. It's like silently in the background whispering, this is your destiny. This is the next step. Take this step And you're going, no, that's not loud. Hannah said there would be signs. Yeah, you have to be going slow enough to pay attention to signs. If you're running, you are not going to see them. If you are out there yelling, you're not going to hear the whispers. The whispers come in the silence. The signs come in the silence. You have to be moving slow enough to receive them, right? And I don't know, a lot of my life really came with like running as fast as possible because remember, I come from the land of hustling giants, and I've just figured out that whispers can't be heard when you're running. They just can't. It's just worth slowing down. I am telling you, platters of success and beauty are being served up to you, but you're moving too fast to eat. Sit down. Eat what's being served to you right now. Take your time there. Soak it up. Be right there. And it's okay if that looks like a little bit slower movement. As long as it's aligned, as long as you're feeling that whisper, that knowing that this is a piece of the destiny, that this is the path that I'm being guided on, that everything is unfolding as it should. As long as you're walking with that knowing, you can't go wrong. You can only go forward. And I want you to know that your destiny, those whispers, aren't always going to make sense to you. And in some instances, you're going, that is 7,000 steps backwards, and you're insane. Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, we don't get to decide. But if you can quiet yourself long enough to listen to the whispers, and I am not convinced that you don't have them, I would say I am more convinced that you aren't listening to them than you don't have them at all. I think everyone has this underlying whisper. Even if you keep coming back to this podcast or reading my posts or whatever, even if there's some sort of inkling of interaction with this work, then there's something here for you to do. Something bigger that you're being called to. You know that. You know that, right? You know that there's something. You know that you're supposed to be enjoying your life, that this is supposed to be up to you, that you are in control. You know that, right? And maybe you gave control up a long time ago and you said, well, just let life happen to me. But maybe you want to take the reins back. Maybe you're tired of being tired. Maybe you're tired of feeling miserable. Maybe you're tired of going down the same exact day every single day. The same path, the same journey. Maybe you're tired of that. And if you are, I am telling you, get quiet enough to listen to the whispers because they are going to guide you. It will be served up on a platter if you will let yourself sit long enough. And sometimes it feels like that's not the right pace, but I am telling you, it's the pace that wins the race. Sit. Listen. You're being told. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world. Hey, you've made it all the way here. And I do want to tell you that this is like where the real listeners go to get the inside track, because we have started to work with Brain.fm, which is an incredible meditation creative focus app which actually helps with all of those things: focus, relaxation, creativity. Like, I utilize it in so many different ways, and I didn't realize that it was sort of the music app that I was lacking. And I was excited when they reached out to become an affiliate of this show, and help my listeners utilize this platform for all the things that we talk about on this show, because music is one of those things that allows you to tap in and go to a higher level quicker than you could if you were just doing it on your own. So this helped so much in my meditative practice. It helped me from the mind wander that was constantly kind of coming up. It helped when I was in workflow for my mind to not wander into the lyrics of songs. It helped sort of just create this white noise in the background. And then this was the most unexpected help that happened. It also helped with like getting my kids to bed and waking them up in the morning. I noticed that the general frequency of what usually would have been an up and down experience sort of leveled. And we all just experience this common calmness in all those instances where in a lot of nights and mornings we'd have so many ups and downs. It leveled all of that out. So I'm excited. If you use the code The Death of a Dream, you get 10% off of your subscription to that. Now, what I do love about it is that if it's not helping you, you can just end that subscription. So to try it for a month, it might cost you about $3. Okay. See if you like it. See if it works for you. And if it doesn't, you can always stop. But if it does, I think it's a really great way to tap into this self-meditation, focus, presence work that we're always staying conscious of. I will have the link in the show notes every day for you to go ahead and check that on out. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you're still here, go ahead and check it's just me, out on all of our socials. I post every day, post with some inspirational, quotes and movements, definitely on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us at The Death of a Dream, also on LinkedIn, but I think that's just me. It's just Hannah Nuss. But you can check out kind of some daily encouragement to go down, chase your dreams, and live your best life. You can always check back here in the show notes for anything that we might have talked about at some point in the show, anything that I'm creating at this given point. I won't necessarily talk about it on the podcast every single day, but you can always find what I'm working on in the show notes. So thank you so much for listening. All of you, whether you listen to one episode, 5 minutes or 5 seconds, make a difference to me. And I couldn't be here doing this work if no one listened at all. So every person over one is just a bonus. And I feel extremely grateful to be a part of your day.